This is going to be the most honest advice I've ever given to those of you who are interested in becoming a graphic designer. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. If you have not been here before, thank you so much for being here. I have been a brand and web designer for the last 8 years, and I also own my new business, Curated Collective Co., where I educate other designers on how to grow their business. But I'm very excited in this video to share with you guys my honest advice that I wish I knew before becoming a graphic designer, so that you can feel prepared to take that leap or to continue going down the path you're on. First off, you have to love what you're doing. In my opinion, if you love what you do, then you've succeeded. So it's really important to make sure you're not getting into graphic design for just the money. I'm also hungry, but I don't want to make a full meal, so I'm just gonna eat a little snack. So I personally think it's extra important when becoming a graphic designer or in any sort of creative field to love what you're doing before you even get started, because it requires so much of your authentic creativity, and it also requires consistency. When I look back at the designs I made like 5-6 years ago, I have grown so much over time because I love what I was doing and I was so willing to learn each and every day. And I've seen so many people try to get into it, but maybe it's just not a total passion of yours, and that's totally fine. So even if you got into graphic design, but maybe you're like, I don't like making logos, or I really don't like making websites, there are so many niches inside of the design field, so don't be afraid to try different areas. I know that there's so many people who niche down to a specific style, or maybe they just niche down to package design because they love that. So don't be afraid to explore, and especially when you're getting started, to see what it is that you love the most. You can stay consistent with it, continually learn, and challenge yourself and actually want to do that. One of the things that my old boss had said when I was working for him 3 years ago was that you have to do something you really hate to make money. And I could not disagree with that more. I truly feel that consistency and growing and learning is fueled by passion. And with that comes financial gain. And that's the most beautiful part, especially when you love what you're doing. So if I could give any piece of advice, it is to make sure you love it before you get started, and also continue to love it as you keep on going. And if you start to fall out of love with it, maybe try different avenues. Okay, my next piece of advice is to hold off on leaving your day job or your 9-to-5 job as long as you can. I know for me, I am very risk adverse. I don't like to jump into something without a plan. That's why I took a very long time to make the decision to finally leave and go off on my own. So if I could give any piece of advice to someone who wants to become a full-time designer, it is to take your time with it and have that sort of like income coming in to support you while you start to explore that passion and gain a clientele. That's what helped me so much when I was getting started. I feel like I was able to do design without stressing over it. And I think that this kind of goes into my first point, where you can start to fall out of love with it when it feels like you're chasing after clients or it feels so stressful. But when you actually go into it, knowing what to expect and the clients you have, it's so much more enjoyable. So here's a few things I would recommend doing before you quit your 9-to-5. Trust me, I get it. When I was at my 9-to-5, I did not like it at all. And I was so eager and ready to get out of there that every single week I would look at the chances or the opportunity to finally leave. But I'm really glad that I took my time with it. But here's a few things that I'd recommend doing if you have the option to stay for as long as you can. This is what I would do in the meantime. The first thing is to create a savings or emergency fund if you don't already have one. For me, I wanted to have at least 3 to 4 months of income saved up. That way I wasn't chasing after clients every single month or every single week. I knew that I had enough to live off of if there was a potential opportunity to not have clients one month. So that really helped me and lower my stress. So I would recommend figuring out what it is you need every single month to live comfortably, and you can budget in the things that bring you joy as well as the things that are necessities in your life, and kind of figure out what it is, like your cost of living, that you're going to need to make every single month. Like for me, I love going out to get coffee or a drink outside, hence the one I have right now. But I knew that if I was doing that every single day, especially the first few months of being full-time, that I could potentially be stressed out later on because I'm spending so much more without that kind of safety net of a salary coming in when I first started. So I really tried to make sure, like, where is all my money going? Because I think when you have a salary and something that you're kind of expecting every other week, you can be a little bit looser with your budget. But when you are a business owner, you have to pay attention to all those things, especially in the beginning. Actually, forever, really, because you're in charge of everything. It's all up to you. So it's very important to sit down with yourself, look at your books, look at your documents, everything you have, and figure out where you can be saving and where you can actually go and spend a little bit of money to enjoy and take care of yourself. Because if we did not do those things, then what's the point, really? In terms of savings, I now also always try to add things to my emergency fund because life happens. I mean, 2 years ago, we had really scary issues with our cat Leo, and it was a very expensive vet bill, and also it was really stressful, and I didn't really want to work during that time. So having that emergency fund to not only take care of him, but to take care of all of us during that time was so helpful, and really was clear to me how important that is to have. So if you are wanting to leave your 9-to-5, make sure to have an emergency fund first. The next thing that I personally did when I was ready to leave my 9-to-5, and something I'd recommend others do as well because it helped a lot, was that I actually planned on booking clients into those months that I was going to be fully on my own. So what I mean by that is I wanted to make sure that I am going to be able to kind of match the salary I'm making at my 9-to-5 job with the clients that I'm booking on the side. So don't get me wrong, it's a very busy time during that kind of balancing act of 9-to-5 and working with clients. It is such a busy time when I look back at that. I actually feel like I'm working even more now, to be honest, but I was working so hard then, working from morning to night and trying to get content in at the same time and just all the things that come with it. But I knew that if I was going into full time with some clients ready to work with me, that I would feel, it's just like a really great, like it gives you some momentum to get started in owning a business, and especially working with clients. Also allows you to build your portfolio. So if you don't have clients yet and you're wanting to go full time, I would really try to gain some clients on the side. Just do some freelancing projects, build that portfolio, build the experience, and it'll help so much when that decision comes. And in addition to lining up some clients that want to work with you, I also would recommend maybe looking at some passive income streams, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I'm going to get to this point in my next tip. It is sometimes a roller coaster of some months are really busy, some months are not busy, and it can be hard to rely on just the clients for your income. That is why I always try to make multiple streams of income so that I can relax, sit back, and not worry too much. But I would be lying to you guys if I said I don't worry, because I still worry. I mean, if I don't have maybe some inquiries for a few months, I still get a little concerned, even if I have clients I'm working with at the time, because it's just nice to see that the marketing you're doing or the things that you're putting out there is actually paying off. So don't get me wrong, I still sometimes worry, mainly because I love working with clients, but having those passive income streams allows me to worry so much less. It allows me to stress less, and it allows me to focus on doing the marketing or working with those clients I have. And it allows me to use my time more wisely. So if you have any passive income stream ideas, I would definitely do that before you quit your 9-to-5. Put it up on a simple like Shopify buy button site. You can add that to any website you have. You can do all sorts of things. Even Flowdesk, the email marketing platform I use, has like a purchase. You can do like sales pages on there. So try to brainstorm those passive income streams, and it could be templates, it could be art, it could be anything you can think of. So I would recommend going online, finding some different ways to do that and promote it on your social media. And that was so helpful for me. Even when I technically didn't consider myself an expert yet, I was creating templates that helped me. Because I knew that if it's helping me, it's probably gonna help someone else who's maybe a few months behind me. So just don't be afraid to share those templates that could be so helpful for someone. It doesn't matter the amount of followers you have or traction you have on it, as long as you just keep putting yourself out there, sharing the things that help you. I promise you it will pay off in the long run. So before I quit my 9-to-5, I had that emergency fund, I had passive income streams, I had a clientele, and I also had a plan, which is my tip number 3. It is so important to go into running a business with a plan and a schedule and a routine, because that first day when you wake up and you're completely on your own is so freeing and so exciting, but also so scary. I can still vividly remember waking up and not having anyone to report to, having complete freedom with my schedule, and that can sometimes get a little dangerous, because if you have freedom with your day and maybe you are a procrastinator like myself, I tend to get distracted or work on things that are not the priority. So it was really important for me to go into being a full-time business owner with my morning routine, when I'll be working on client work, when I'll be working on design things for my own business, when I'll do project management, when I'll do the finances and all of that. So we all mention this all the time, but we're wearing so many hats as business owners. And if you don't properly time that all out or schedule that in, it can get a little chaotic, a little stressful. But I'm gonna be totally transparent with you guys. I am not good at project management. It's one of my weaknesses because I tend to overcomplicate things for myself, or I also tend to get distracted and work on the things I actually want to work on rather than the things I probably should be working on. So it's something I still work on, but with the rules and sort of like routine I have set for like my non-negotiable tasks, I have somewhat of a structure. And if I get distracted working on something I really want to work on, it's not that big of a deal. I will always get my work done, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. So if you're watching this and you're like, I don't even know where to begin with a routine, I get it, but what I would do is write out those non-negotiables. I did this recently this year. I wrote out the values in my life, the things that make me feel the most me, the most ready to show up in my business. And I wrote out those non-negotiables and I added that into my routine and my schedule. And I kind of work my business around that. I personally am a big believer in taking care of yourself and leaving time for those personal things you really love. So I like to schedule in the gym, soccer, self-care, the things that really bring me joy. And like I said, I kind of schedule my business around that. I also will kind of have those priority tasks in my business and then some days where I'm actually organizing things. So although I'm a procrastinator, I typically like to have somewhat of a structure. And if I have clients at that time, they're always a priority in that day. And I just try to schedule in those things I really love throughout that day so that it doesn't feel boring or I don't get sick of it. And I just allow myself to kind of spread out those tasks throughout the week. So I typically use my project management tool this is actually newer for me. It's called Morgan, and it just allows me to schedule out my days based on priorities. And I also have those non-negotiables set as a repetitive task every single day. So that helps me a lot. And I know a lot of us struggle with how to fit in social media and when are we going to post and not get distracted on scrolling. That is one of the biggest things that I would recommend, is to make sure that you're setting a limit for yourself on the consumption. This has gotten really bad for me lately because of the holidays and taking more time off. I feel like I have been scrolling just nonstop, and it's been a little bit stressful because the more I scroll, the more the imposter syndrome kicks in. So if I could get any piece of advice, it is to only consume social media if you're going to be creating with it. So this is a big rule for me. I want to create more than I consume. It just helps me mentally know that I'm doing my part in the social media world and putting myself out there. And then I kind of allow myself to consume a little social media. It's fun. It's kind of like an escape after work to just laugh at dumb TikTok videos. So I definitely allow myself to scroll. I just have a little bit of rules that come with that. So if you're just getting started in the design world, I'd recommend either putting a timer on your social media apps or making sure that you're only looking at it after you create. It's a great rule that's helped me so much, and I'm sure it'll help you guys too. Okay, I also wanted to talk to you guys about preparing emotionally, because when you become a business owner and you're working for yourself, it can be a bit of a lonely road. My situation is a little bit more unique because when I was working at my 9-to-5 job, I was actually working remotely. So I was already working at home alone. I kind of knew that loneliness feeling that comes with being a remote worker, but I didn't know how lonely it would feel to be the only person in the business working alone. And I think that's something that's really hard to know how it feels until you're really doing it. But I always tell my fiance how hard it is when I'm here alone all day, working and building these beautiful brands. And of course, I'm talking with clients, and of course now my community, which has been so much help in terms of not feeling as lonely and feeling like I have so many other awesome creatives to bounce ideas off of and talk to. It's been so helpful. But when I didn't have that, it was definitely a bit lonely, and I would feel like I just wanted to talk so much when the workday was over because I didn't have anyone to show my ideas to. It was all up to me on whether I wanted to make those ideas come to life, and it was up to me in terms of like feedback on my own, and just you don't have someone to report to is kind of what I'm saying. So it's definitely an emotional roller coaster in terms of feeling lonely and excited, but being your own cheerleader because you're at home all alone celebrating these little wins. And of course I have family and my fiance and all these people to celebrate with me. But the emotional roller coaster that comes with owning a business is definitely something I did not prepare for. But if you guys are feeling lonely, maybe you are your own business owner and you're like, is this a normal feeling? It's totally normal, and I would highly recommend checking out my Patreon community if you want to connect with other creatives. I always have it linked down below. You can join for a very affordable cost. It's so great to hear from people that are going through the same exact things that we all are. So I've loved it. It's been such an amazing addition this year, and I can't wait to just make it grow even more next year. Another important thing to mention when it comes to preparing for the emotions that will come with owning a business is knowing that success is not going to happen overnight. Whether you're trying to succeed on social media by sharing your work or reaching out to dream clients, it doesn't happen overnight. I have been designing for over like 8 years now, and I'm just now getting into that area where I feel like I'm working with dream clients. So it took a really long time to get to a place where I feel so confident and so comfortable, and I'm able to charge what I feel I'm worth now. Whereas in the beginning, I was super nervous to get started. I was charging so low because I wasn't confident, and I also was getting really defeated on social media. I felt like I'd post something that I really thought was cool, but it might not have gotten a bunch of attention that I thought it would. And it took years and years. So don't feel that if you are just getting started that it's already failing, because it took quite a bit of time to finally feel that I was in a place where things were really paying off. Now, that's not to say though that when I was starting and maybe not as confident in posting social media and all of that, I was still landing clients during that time. So it's still totally possible for those of you who are just getting started. You might get 10 no's, but the 2 yeses you get could be a game changer for your business and could be such a great stepping stool into the next phase of your business. I think that's something I really thank myself for, is that I was not afraid to try so many things. I wasn't afraid to put myself out there. I felt that every single opportunity that came my way was a learning lesson. Whether it failed or didn't fail, I knew that I would take something away from it. So that's something I really try to live by, and I'm very thankful for myself that I was able to do that. I know it can be really hard to say yes to the things that can be a little bit scary, but it is so worth it. And the emotions that come with running a business is so normal. You're not alone in that, but it gets so much better the more consistent you stay with it. Okay, my last piece of advice is to be realistic with what you can handle. I know that when we see social media and all these people doing everything, it can feel like you're behind or that you have to do everything that everyone else is doing to keep up. But I have learned really quickly that it's hard to do everything because you're going to be spreading yourself thin throughout every single avenue that you're getting into. Whenever I have a new idea, I always want to just go for it and start it, and before I know it, I have a million things on my plate. It can get very overwhelming. So my honest advice to someone who wants to get into graphic design and wants to also share all of their graphic design journey on social media is to pick realistically what platforms you can stick with. For me, I have found, and this is something I want to make a whole other video about, but that YouTube is my main priority. It is like my bread and butter of my business. It's what allowed me to connect with so many clients and so many students, so many amazing designers. And I feel that as long as I'm being consistent on YouTube, that I can kind of like slack off a little bit on Instagram and TikTok and the other platforms, because I realistically am finding out that I end up getting really burnt out after like 2 to 3 months of posting on everything. So my honest advice to you would be to pick a few platforms that you really want to stick to, that you can be consistent on, that you actually enjoy going on, and just stick with that. And also, you don't have to make things a vlog. You can make it just showing your portfolio work or showing progress of your designs. It doesn't always have to be every little bit and piece of your day. And I think when you take that pressure off yourself and feel that you can actually just show your work and kind of separate your personal life from that, becomes a lot easier. But that's not to say that it's not important to add in your personality. I think finding that balance of showing your work as well as who you are and your personality and your style is the best combination, while also being able to step away from it and have a normal life and not feel like you're constantly having to share everything or post on everything or be everywhere at every minute of the day. If you guys want to see how I plan out my week or even how I do my content plan, I post this in my community, and I also have a video that I'll link right up above here. But if you are looking for a community, if you're feeling a bit lonely working from home, or you just want someone to talk to about taking that leap into going full time, or maybe you just want honest advice from another designer that is not just myself, then definitely check out my Patreon. It is such an awesome place to be. I love going in there and chatting with you all and sharing all the things I learn in this graphic design industry. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Links down below. I hope I see you guys in there, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one.